So we have a few more minutes to talk about this breaking news. Jimmy Kimmel's return to television before the president at the top of the hour, live from the White House. We'll bring our friend Dominic Patton from Deadline in on all of this. So the suspension ends up being relatively short. There's a lot of speculation about if Kimmel would come back and then when he would come back. Now it's tomorrow night. From where you sit, Dominic, in covering all of this, what was the calculation, do you think, from Disney's point of view?
Several days about this, and they've been trying almost since the day he was suspended on September 17th. They've been looking for a pathway, specifically Disney Entertainment boss Dana Walden and Kimmel and his team. A lot of push and pull about how that's going to happen, what he will and will not be allowed to say on air. But clearly the backlash was growing. You saw today, first of all, early this morning, Howard Stern added his name to the people who are canceling their Disney Plus subscription in support of Kimmel. Then you saw over 400 names, some very big stars like Meryl Streep and others, signing a ACLU letter. So this was starting to have a big effect on the very publicity and media-sensitive CEO Bob Iger and others. So clearly they were trying to find a deal. We had heard rumors over the weekend, but nothing came together. Now clearly they have. It's going to be interesting to see what tomorrow night looks like.
Any expectation on your end on that front? Like, how do you think Kimmel will handle it on the air?
Well, I think Jimmy's a pro, and he's going to handle it like a pro, and I think they've struck a deal, and he's going to go with the deal they struck. But I think you're going to see a lot of nuance. Also be interesting, we don't know yet, who the guests are going to be.
It will. Like, who do you book? Okay. And I think one thing that's I don't think is known yet is, will the show be carried by all the affiliates? Because remember, that's how all of this started, was that, Nexstar, which is NewsNation's parent company, Sinclair, the station owners acted first, it seemed. Then it was Disney. Do you think it'll be on the air across the country?
Very hard to tell. Neither Nexstar nor Sinclair have said anything yet, but I don't think Disney would have made this decision without talking to them. Clearly, there is a rift there. There's a rift ideologically. There's a rift in terms of markets. The big markets are still owned by stations are owned by ABC Disney directly. So we're going to see where that rift is. But I would be honest, there's a reason, and you've heard me say it before, my friend. Yeah. They call it show business, not show friends. Clearly, nobody wants to lose money on this.
Right. So how did this all play out then in terms of where the pressure was coming from and how, you were talking about this a moment ago, some of that may have changed, and now the pressure's coming from the other side? I mentioned a few minutes ago these threats of boycotts or the protests and the effect that had.
Well, I think it's a lot of things. I think if we live in a very competitive media market. And I think a lot of that is, some people say there's no such thing as bad publicity. I beg to differ. Clearly, in this example, Bob Iger and the people at Disney, one of the things they value the most is their relationships with talent. Those relationships have clearly become strained over the past couple days. The support for Kimmel has been widespread. Protests in front of the Disney headquarters in Burbank. I think they were just very sensitive to the optics of this, and I think they were very sensitive to the politics of it.
What's your understanding from reporting on this about his support in the building or in the company? They're very strong?
Well, we reported last week, and as an exclusive, that we called it the descent at Disney in the upper levels. There was a lot of people were disappointed with the decision that was made by Walden and Iger. A lot of people were keeping it to themselves because they didn't want to see retribution or retaliation, but that was clearly something that was occurring, and it was very much the thing that was fueling some of the talks that were happening virtually the next day in Kimmel's lawyer's office.
Yeah, I'm struck by what you said a few minutes ago. I hadn't thought of that right away since it just broke. But, who do you book and what type of show do you put on after something like this? I mean, there's a couple of ways I guess you could go. You could do, which would be, I guess, more out of character, like a more serious show, talk about free speech and all that kind of thing. Or you could say something at the beginning, Dominic, which is probably more likely, and then do the quote-unquote normal show. Hey, here's what we do, make people laugh type of approach.
Well, I can't tell you, my friend. I mean, I know that I'm getting a ton of texts and information about this, so I've got to bolt. But, I think it's going to be interesting to see the way they play it out. I wonder if we're going to see an updated version of the opening that Jimmy Kimmel planned to give last week to talk about the Charlie Kirk scandal that he had found himself in and the fallout and response that he felt MAGA was delivering to that. Of course, we saw the Charlie Kirk memorial yesterday, and that's changed a lot of things. Of course, we saw President Trump come out raging there, too. So a lot of X factors here, my friend. I got to go.
Have a good one, Dominic. We always appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.